Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing fantastic and that you're all having an absolutely incredible day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. There's a lot of very annoying, very weird news, so I do ask you to bear with me as I go through all of it. Because a lot of times, normally, and once again, I try to be as frank and honest with you at all times. But a lot of times I see stuff in the cryptocurrency space or even, in the normal traditional news space. And it's so blatantly a lie that it kind of always gets me annoyed is definitely the understatement, other statement. Anyway. It says Tesla's third quarter financial statements have revealed that Tesla has not sold any of their Bitcoin. For those of you who were not here around 2.5 years ago, one of the most popular news stories that we had ever received in the cryptocurrency space was that apparently Elon Musk was into crypto. And I tried telling people that nearly every single billionaire years ago, those who talked negatively or neutrally about cryptocurrencies, at some point had gotten into our market. It wasn't really a surprise that rich people would have moved into a market where they could potentially make hundreds of millions of billions of dollars. But upon the news that Elon Musk was into Bitcoin, everyone completely lost their mind. A lot of that hype subsequently faded when we found out, or it was alleged that Elon Musk had actually gone to the people from Blockstream, the people who kind of like deal with Bitcoin's code. The allegations were that he tried to get them into a discussion where he could kind of be like the ruler of Bitcoin. The discussions allegedly went, nope, that's not how it works. It has to work with network consensus. He was not happy with it, and then it was alleged that he simply moved over to Dogecoin, had a conversation with those people. They gave him the thumbs up, and this is why Elon Musk on Twitter was like, hey, Dogecoin's the best thing ever, because these were the only people, allegedly, who gave him control over the company, foundation, whoever cares what it is. The other part was that people were then shocked to find out that I believe SpaceX and Tesla also held Bitcoin. They were like, wait, he has multiple coins? That's crazy. I thought he only had one coin and he was only dealing with Dogecoin. Upon the news that Tesla actually held Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price rose because everyone assumed that Elon Musk is a genius in some sort of way, and therefore he would be the one to propel Bitcoin's price higher. At some point about 7 months later, we had news that apparently, for those of you who don't know, Tesla isn't doing too well. Like, they're still making money, but, they're not living up to expectations like they were a couple of years ago. And as such, we had news that Tesla had actually sold off a portion of their Bitcoin. The really interesting part is that they had sold off Bitcoin, but they did it in a hush-hush manner because they are a company and the public doesn't have to know everything that they're doing at every single given point. So they actually sold as the market was, I think, doing well or trending sideways, and people were shooketh that Bitcoin didn't collapse upon the sales of Tesla's Bitcoin, because that's not how liquidity works. The point is, you should be able to sell into a market and not have it dry up and or drop as you're selling into it. People found out that Tesla sold and Bitcoin's price went down that day for whatever reason, because it didn't go down over the other couple of months. You understand what I'm saying? It would have made more sense if it had gone down when people found out they were selling before, but they didn't. So why on the day would you sell your Bitcoin? Fine. People are the brain's just not always there. And then we found out that they had to sell because of some money issues, what have you. And now we're finding out again for their third quarter 2023 statements that apparently they did not sell any more Bitcoin than they previously sold before. As you might have imagined, this was incredibly popular news. I do not and probably will never understand the hang up to why is it that based on our metrics and what the coins are actually doing, why prices don't move according to that? But upon hearing that a company had Bitcoin, and is still holding on to the same amount of Bitcoin, why should that actually have any influence on the price? Its most recent balance sheet shows that Tesla continues to hold Bitcoin valued at around $184 million. Meanwhile, Tesla CEO, his name is Muskie, has raised concerns about the high interest rate environment affecting the auto industry. This isn't a concern for any normal person. This is a concern for someone who has a company that thrives off of debt. The reason why you keep hearing so many people in the financial world are raising the alarm, sounding the alarm, standing on top of hills and saying the interest rates are too high, it's not because it directly affects you negatively in a sort of way. It affects these industries that thrive on debt. Most people you might have seen buy a car, lease a car, or whatever a car through debt. They'll put it on a credit card. They'll get a mortgage for X, Y, and Z. And what ends up happening is that you are expected, much like buying a home because of inflated prices, you are expected to take out debt to be able to buy this new fancy, wonderful, amazing car. If the interest rates are 1%, you are more likely to take out debt over the next 10 to 15 years that are going to burden you to be able to tell your friends that you have this car. If the interest rates are 5, 6, 7, 8%, you are far less likely, because then the reality of I'm going to have to pay back 7, 8, 9% on the dollar is a little bit annoying. So you step back and go into reality and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't take out that debt. The issue is that these companies run on debt. The debt of the money that is created that you then hold, that you walk to Tesla with and say, hey, give me one of these terrible cars. For those of you who haven't been looking on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and or even videos on YouTube, there are a lot of people who are showing like the quality of their Teslas that they purchased like 6 months to a year after they have it. They're running their nails across the steering wheel and like the fabric is simply coming off. They're like rubbing their hands on the dashboard and like the color is coming off on their hands. You can find the videos. That's not even an alleged thing unless everyone's faking all of these videos. It's simply something that's happening with these cars. So this is why you're going to continue hearing a lot of billionaires talking about the high interest rates. It's not because of you. It's not to protect you. It's not because they want you to have a lower interest rate to go about your day. They want interest rates to lower so that you are more likely to take out debt. It's the same exact thing with homes. This is why they've normalized the idea of a 30-year mortgage. Think of that. Another 30 years on top of how old you already are to pay back something. This is why they're all so up in arms about everything that's actually going on. So anyway, in, of course, one of the most popular news stories of the day, Tesla still has all of their Bitcoin. They may be buying more Bitcoin. They're a large company. They're probably buying more behind the scenes. Money-wise, they're not doing so well. Their constant profits aren't where investors were expecting them to actually be, but that's just the reality of the situation for the auto industry and also for Tesla. Tesla still has their Bitcoin. So, I guess magically Bitcoin's price should be going up today, right? Because we found out that Elon Musk is still holding them. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Also in completely logical news, Blockstream's CEO, his name is Adam Back, recently stated that based off of fundamentals alone, Bitcoin should have already passed by 100,000 US dollars. I don't even have to go that much deeper into the actual article. He goes over a lot of the things that we've been talking about over the last, I want to say, even 4 or 5 years. There's a definite weird disconnect that we began to experience around the end of 2017, I think, when the wealthiest really understood that they could definitely get into this market. We are in a market, and that is to say all markets have this problem, but it's quite peculiar in the cryptocurrency space as well as far as price manipulation. It is something that is really intense and needs to be addressed at some point, but I don't know if we're ever going to get there, simply because every other market has the exact same thing, whether it be stocks, whether it be the bond market, whether it be the gold and silver market, whether it be the real estate market. There's some type of manipulation always. When you deal with people who have hundreds of millions of billions of dollars that they can move in or out of a market at any given time, you're going to deal with a lot of these things. The idea generally comes from, if we previously before saw movements in Bitcoin's price based off of actual fundamentals, there was a time, I know this may sound weird, where there were actual world events going on, banks collapsing, countries going through hyperinflation 5, 6, 7 years ago, and that would actually move Bitcoin's price. We saw people moving into Bitcoin, the same that we do now. There's no real change. We still see people entering the market. And prices would actually increase as we saw people buying. However, now, whenever any type of, whenever any type of like actual news comes out that should move the market, we tend to even have days where the market goes down. It's usually based off of AI and bots reading articles that basically tell them when to sell to make sure that prices are low enough so that institutions or whatever institution is controlling that one bot has, enough leeway to be able to get in at a lower price than where it actually should be. When you talk about the actual fundamentals of the market and understand the idea of 24 hours, I know it sounds trivial in some sort of way, but the idea that every 24 hours that passes by, Bitcoin gets stronger is a very important thing. You have to understand, regardless of the idea, and I this is something that isn't talked about anymore, maybe because we've kind of like stepped beyond that way in terms of Bitcoin's blockchain. Even the idea of Bitcoin having a 51% attack right now is it almost equates to nothing in terms of Bitcoin. For those of you who don't know, I assume many of you, if not all of you, understand the concept of a 51% attack. It's someone who controls 51% of the mining or creation or staking power of a coin. The idea is that if you happen to control 51% of the chain, you could, in a malicious manner, simply create new coins that weren't meant to be created, and or fork the chain, or do a whole bunch, whatever your heart tells you to do as you have more control over the network. When it comes to Bitcoin as it is right now, the main core chain where all the transactions are linked together in a blockchain, links on chains connected together, is now so long that even if someone did, and here's the other kicker, in order to actually execute a 51% attack, you need trillions of dollars in order to do it for Bitcoin, if not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions, but it takes like actual liquid money to be able to do it, to be able to gain enough control over the network. If you had that much money, forcing all of that money into the network, what have you, so on and so forth, gaining control over it. And in that split second that you have control over the network, one of the main ideas years ago was that you could, in a malicious manner, choose to simply mint one extra Bitcoin. The idea is only 21 million. And if you have 21 million in one, oh no, my gosh, it's absolutely terrible. Bitcoin has come along so far that every 24 hours is literally like another huge link that can't be destroyed. Why? Because we could simply say, if you decided to print or mint one extra coin, a million extra Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. We can see the information that is immutable and unchangeable on the original chain, on the original Bitcoin chain, and it could simply be forked once again to turn to the left or turn to the right, depending on the direction that you want to go. And we would say, all the other transactions that took place over the last 14 years, except for this one new transaction that created a million new Bitcoin, fork from there and continue the chain. I hope I explained that correctly. I was moving my hands around and I realized none of you could actually see it. Bitcoin is incredibly powerful as a payment network, as a monetary system. People used to call Bitcoin a clock years ago. It was more popular as a clock. That was one of the ideas, because you could literally tell time based on the amount of transactions in every 24 hours that actually passed by. We're not going to go into the entire thing, but we are living through a very interesting and precarious situation right now, where the amount of price predictions are completely, I want to nearly say out of control. We're getting a lot of crazy price predictions for Bitcoin. But as far as where we should actually be, the same thing with many other coins. I find the dynamic between Bitcoin and altcoins to be incredibly fascinating in that. Remember when we had the rumors of the potential Bitcoin ETF, the rumors. And upon hearing that, over the course of a day, Bitcoin rose by around $7,000 just based off of a rumor. Not even based off of any actual like real life events that are going on. It was a rumor, and a screenshot from a website rose by $7,000, which tells me that based off of logic and actual usage of it, we should of course be a lot higher than the actual whatever. But then the other part is that altcoins also then, of course, move up as well when Bitcoin's moving up, which then also tells me that that altcoin could have already moved up in price, but we needed a rumor about Bitcoin to really get the market going. Do you understand? The market runs on rumors and complete speculation as opposed to actual news that we have. If we know that, for those of you who missed the video and missed the information, the last numbers that we had were between 80 to 85% of all Bitcoin is held in the hands of whales. That is to say, I think people who own more than 10 Bitcoin. And then if you go to the metric of who owns more than 1 Bitcoin, it's nearly 93% of all Bitcoin is being held by these people now. And like being held. Not that they're looking at it expecting to trade it. No, they're gobbling up as much Bitcoin as possible. The basics of supply and demand tell us that prices should be rising just based off of these metrics. Numbers that we had years ago was that around 50 to 60% of all Bitcoin was in the hands of wealthy people. From the idea that we were around $20,000 when that happened, and that we only, air quotes, rose to around $27,000, $28,000 based off of the news that another 33% of 33% of Bitcoin had been also taken by these people. The numbers are clearly being manipulated in heavy ways that we ourselves may never completely fully understand. But this is a very intense market. I'm sure a lot of you feel it as well, especially the last couple of weeks as the energy has kind of like pumped back into the market. Yeah, I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I believe me, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about a lot of this. I can talk about many different markets. When it comes to like price manipulation and like where prices should actually be. But yeah, anyway, I thought this was important simply because we should be a lot farther in price. But I think at this point, I believe at this point, the wealthiest people are all working together to kind of make sure that prices remain low so that they can continue buying in secret. But it's also going to be a very interesting dynamic for a 2024-2025 bull run, simply because there literally is not a lot of Bitcoin left. And you know, and I've said before that people aren't paying attention, and I've gotten like comments from a lot of you I get that you're paying attention. I assume at this point, heavy assumption, that if you're watching this channel, you're here for actual cryptocurrency news. You're not here for hype. You're not here for like, oh, Shiba Inu flying monkey coin is going up 9. You're not here for that. You want what's actually happening within the space. So I'm not pointing a finger or fingers at many of you, because I know that there are still some hypey people here. But anyway, that's the price manipulation news. Yeah. Okay, moving along. By far, one of my favorite news stories of the day. I saw this and my heart just flittered with glee. Like, it was like, wow, I can't believe it. Fallen crypto exchange FTX is currently evaluating proposals from 3 prospective bidders seeking to restart the crypto trading platform, according to a recent Bloomberg report. So, yes, you heard that correctly. At the end of last year, there was already speculation that FTX was going to try to relaunch even after it had completely imploded into itself. There was also, who were the other 2 people? There were 2 other gentlemen individuals who were also in charge of another cryptocurrency trading platform that didn't even go belly up. I believe it was hacked and torn apart. They also wanted to create something called GTX, as in letter G is the next letter after X, after F, and therefore they wanted to create a brand new it was some kind of nonsense like that, and I made a video on it telling everyone, please don't touch it because it's clearly some kind of a scam. This is very common within the cryptocurrency space. A massive exchange, a well-known platform ends up getting hacked, destroyed, liquidated, torn apart, whatever word you want to use. And then at some point, people try to announce that they're going to restart it. We had the same exact thing with Mt. Gox years ago. I think 2 years after Mt. Gox's collapse, I think it was sold to someone else, and they were also trying to restart it. What was the other exchange? There have been maybe 2 others in between, somewhere around there, but a lot of times. Oh, the same exact thing also happened last year with Terra Luna. Remember the reports that were not even reports. Do Kwon basically came back out and said that he wanted to restart it because he thought that he could do it okay. Even a couple of weeks after FTX collapsed, Sam Bankman-Fried also said he's pretty sure if he restarts the exchange, he can get everyone's money back. And it's a common theme where they won't let the ghost kind of like drift away and into the after. They make sure that they keep trying to resuscitate these terrible exchanges over and over and over. And this is why it's one of my favorite news stories of the day. It's because it's this constant idea that no matter how bad rich people have messed up, no matter how much money they made other people lose, no matter how tainted and destroyed and terrible and decrepit something might actually be, the idea is that, well, I'm rich. People, I can pump more money into it, and of course it's going to do well. Understand that, I've said this 1,000 times, what is alleged against the people from Alameda and FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried and everyone else in the clown house, they are not the first people to be alleged to do what they are alleged to have done. Understand that this happens across all facets of things within the cryptocurrency space. The misappropriation and alleged movements around and usage of user funds, you using FTX being a user, is not something that is not uncommon. That is to say, this happens across every cryptocurrency exchange, and that's why we saw only Binance saying, hey, let's do a proof of reserves to prove that we actually have this money. And this is why we still only have Binance being like, hey, here's how much money we have on the exchange. We have more than enough to make sure that if everyone wants to take their coins off, we have enough for it. There's a reason why every other cryptocurrency exchange is hush hush. When it comes to the actual idea of recreating, regrowing, reblossoming FTX, this is a gigantic red flag. I cannot overstate this. It is literally impossible for me to put this any other way in the English language. Do not put your money on this exchange. Do not. And I say that concretely simply because we already have over a dozen crypto exchanges around the world. Depending on where you live, you may only have 3, 4, and or 5 crypto exchanges in your country that are already in some way regulated. Why would you take the chance to use FTX all over again when you already have regulated options within your country? The idea that I have $800 million, I'm going to make sure that FTX rises once again, is absolute nonsense. This comes from people who put their money into a hat, bought FTX as it was collapsing, which I still believe is one gigantic, I still think something is very wrong with all of that. I think this was all planned. And now these people are trying to figure out ways to make their money back as the value of FTX has continued to collapse after the multiple purchase from other prospective bidders over the course of the last couple of years. During a court hearing held in Wilmington, Delaware, Kevin M. Kofsky, the investment banker representing FTX from Perella Weinberg Partners, disclosed the company's intention to reach a decision regarding these proposals by the end of the year. The potential avenues for FTX's revival are under consideration, and there are several options on the table. These people are going to try to bring back FTX. You already have a multitude of other options. I've said that before. Every other time that something like this actually ends up taking place within the cryptocurrency space, it is not that difficult. It's the same exact thing. When new coins pop into the market, they are meant to distract you. These new coins have no purpose. They have not been around for 14 years. They have no usage that is going to be better than the coins that we already have. Any new use cases for coins will be found with the coins that we have now and or mimicked by the older chains. People will not in the future decide to use a chain that is 3 months old comparative to XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and or Cardano that can simply mimic the code of the other ones and say, hey, we are a chain that has been around longer. We are far more stable. These coins that are popping up, stop throwing your money into them. It's the equivalent of like a hamster seeing something shiny and running after it. These coins have no purpose. And the problem is that as the bull run continues, more of them are going to pop up. You are going to throw your money into these coins. The price of them is going to collapse, and you are going to realize that you should have kept your money in the other coins that you had. You are going to start to see articles about people. I made 14,000% from this coin. What they're not telling you is that they got that coin the second it was released, because a lot of times, these people are working with the creators of this coin. So of course they got it at the very beginning. The concept is, well, I got it, you can get it too. No. It is a scam. They got in at the very beginning to be able to tell you how much money they made, knowing that you'll run after the coin, expecting to also make 14,000% profits. You rush into the coin goes up by another 80% over the course of a day. The price begins to collapse because the creators and the person who told you they made 14,000% are selling directly into the market at market price. There's no stop loss order. They click market, sell. Please pay attention to where you're putting your money always, just in general, not even during a bear or bull market, just in general. There's so much crap in this market. It's absolutely insane. And upon hearing, the FTX should have just fallen to ashes. No one should have even tried to catch it. It should have simply been, this was terrible from the get-go. It's going to be tainted. No one should be using this ever again. But in the cryptocurrency space, in the space where millionaires and billionaires pat each other on the back talking about how incredible they all are and how awesome they are, this keeps happening over and over. And this will continue to happen. This is not the first time this has happened as far as a crypto exchange imploding, falling apart. It will happen again. And there will be another point where these millionaires and billionaires will come out and tell you, hey, guess what? We're going to try and do so and so and so. The point of reviving FTX is to actually, how do I say this? It has been discussed how people are going to re-get their money back who lost money from FTX. One of the investor mindsets is that, well, if we can drag more people back into this terrible cryptocurrency exchange and continue to get their money and their trading fees, that's another way that we can pay these people back so we don't have to come out of pocket. They want you to use the exchange, use your trading fees on the exchange to fuel their money, to make them richer so that they can give everyone else their money back and say, look, FTX came back. This is a gigantic red flag. One of my favorite news stories of the day, like the actual audacity to sit there again and tell people over and over and over, regardless of how much these projects have fallen apart. And this is also something I'm also noticing as well. I'm seeing a lot of chatter about Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi's vision. Do not fall into the trap. I promise you it is a trap. A lot of people are writing articles trying to hype up the coin once again. It is literal garbage and no one is using it. The other thing is there's another coin that consistently over the years has continued to crumble, continued to fall apart, continued to stop working, had to be restarted. There are a lot of people, for those of you who didn't get the connection, one, there are a lot of people who are trying to hype this coin up again because they, as YouTubers and other people, told you about this coin years ago, knowing how bad that it was and that it broke down 13 times over the course of a year, and they told you not to worry. The coin's still absolutely amazing. Is now that people now know, for those of you who missed it, that's the point. For those of you who missed it, it appears that, allegedly, the people from FTX and Alameda allegedly had an enormous amount of Solana, and that was the reason why the price was actually pumping before. They were allegedly buying up so much Solana and holding all of it that there was only a little bit on the market. What's happening now, for those of you who also missed it, is that FTX is now selling the company holders are now selling a lot of the Solana and other crypto that they have in order to actually make enough money back to be able to pay back people who were owed money on their cryptocurrency exchange. There are so many garbage coins. People are trying to lead you down the wrong path all the time. I saw something recently from a number of YouTubers and articles talking about that by the year 2030, Solana is going to be like $2,200. The idea is this is supposed to spark an idea in your head. If I buy this coin, I can become rich. Listen to the time frame. 2030. No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Nonetheless, a year and a half from now, 7 years, they're trying to get you into this idea that you should be buying as much Solana as you can right now, because in 7 years, I'm making a YouTube video. I'm writing an article. This one from this newspaper. They say in 7 years, yeah, you're definitely going to be rich. Understand the timing of the things that these people are saying. That's why a lot of times whenever we hear people talking about Bitcoin price predictions like 20 years in the future, I'm like, okay, like cool it. Like let's get to 2024 first. It's cool and imaginative, but it's like, what's the actual reality of where we're going to be? Pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention to the coins and the chains that have multiple partnerships. I'm not talking about 2 partnerships. There's a reason why Ethereum's always in the news, why Ethereum's always positively spoken about, and why we started seeing last year Polygon getting the exact same attention. Because at a certain point when you have 600 companies talking about using Ethereum, cool, check. You guys definitely made it. And then you talk about, you have 35 companies and multiple countries who are going to be putting information on top of Polygon. Pay attention to the big chains. Stop falling every single cycle. Stop falling for the nonsense. Stop putting your money into crappy coins. It is so exhausting to see this happening over and over. Because what ends up happening is that by the time we get to the middle of 2025, everyone's euphoric. Everyone's making tons and tons of money and have been for over a year. So many people will have their money in these crappy coins. They collapse. I mean, completely down to zero, and you will never hear from them again. It happens every single cycle. And then I get the same exact thing on my videos. Everyone talking mean to me, everyone talking crap, everyone talking down to me as if I told you to buy this garbage. You confuse that. I am a YouTuber, but I am not those YouTubers. I give you the news to let you understand where the market is, but I don't tell you to buy crappy coins because I know that they're garbage. It's very easy to tell. It's literally, for me, it's like walking into a supermarket. You ever picked up a bag of oranges and like you like inspect it, like you look at the bottom, oh my gosh, it's moldy, and you put it back down? Imagine walking into a room and you literally see like 12 beautifully bright oranges, and then you look over and see 5,000 moldy oranges, and you're like, oh my gosh. But you see people picking up those oranges because they're like, well, the inside's still good. I'm certain of it. My friend bought one yesterday. He says, you know, he's only gone to the bathroom 3 times. It's still fine. Anyway, yes. So, one, pay attention to the pitfalls that are arriving and are going to arrive even more as the market continues to rise. And 2, just use any other exchange. This is not 2012. This is not 2015. This isn't even 2017. Logically time. We do not only have 2 crypto exchanges to choose from. You can use a multitude of other exchanges, even as like other, like I have a couple of people who like they have stuff on ledgers, they have stuff on other places, yada, yada, but they also choose to put fragments of their coins on different cryptocurrency exchanges as like an extra hedge, just an extra, cool. Why would you be like, well, I have 7 other options. FTX just restarted. Did something bad happen to them before? Nah, it's okay. And then you put your money on there. Anyway, as always, I do sincerely hope that you have in some way enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do sincerely hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I do most certainly, there we go. I will be talking to you all soon. I forgot my own words. Okay. See you.